And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my peep-out. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, as you know, within the last week or so, the criminal bank fraud case against your girl, Letitia James, or Tish as they call her, it was dropped, y'all. It wasn't dropped. It was dismissed. A federal judge said, hey, Lindsay Halligan, prosecutor Halligan, Pam Bondi did not appropriately or correctly appoint you to the position. So that indictment that you secured against Tish, that indictment has no force of law. So essentially, Lindsay Halligan, who Pam Bondi put in the prosecutorial position at Donald Trump's behest, Lindsay Halligan has been disqualified, and now the Justice Department is scrambling. They want to see, is there a way we can salvage this indictment? Is there a way we can bring it back? Is there a way we can continue to put old Tish on trial for her bank fraudish ways? And we will see what's going to happen with that, y'all. But in the meantime and in between time, old Tish has some other things to worry about. She has other cases. She has the NRA criminal case. That's actually an investigation at this point, and that case is winding its way through the courts. It's in an investigatory phase right now. It's not an actual, there's no charges as of now. She also has an election fraud and an election interference case that she's defending against. And now what we're going to talk about today is, well, she has a bar complaint, y'all. They're coming for her bar license. They're coming for her attorneyhood. They're trying to get her kicked out of being an attorney, y'all. So we're going to take a look at that today. And we're also going to take a look at what's likely up next for her criminal bank fraud case as well, y'all. So without further ado, y'all, let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, y'all, we are launching our official Patreon. So if you want to be a founding member on our Patreon, we have just 222 slots, y'all. If you want to be a founding member, go down, click the very first link in the description, and you're going to feel good about this, y'all, because believe it or not, we are an actual paralegal school, and we help people get their paralegal certificate and get working in the paralegal field. And all of the proceeds from our Patreon, when you enroll as a founding member, all of that is going to go to scholarships for people who would like to study at our institute, y'all. So click that first link down in the description. Join us as a founding member, y'all. This deal will not come back. Now let's get into the story.
Are you planning to replace Cash Patel as
No, he's doing a good job.
This week?
Cash Patel? No, he's doing a great job, I think.
This week we saw those cases against James Comey and Letitia James tossed out. Do you still have faith in Lindsay Halligan?
Oh, she's great. I think she's great. They got out on a technicality, and you'll see what happens from here on. But if you look at the actual charges, I think anybody that looks at it very fairly would say, boy, are they guilty. So let's see what happens over the next week. You know, the court didn't say you couldn't bring the case, re-bring the case, or appeal the case. So they have a lot of options. They're going to call the shot. I'm not calling the shot. But Lindsay's a very talented lawyer, actually.
Now here it says, watchdog group hits Letitia James with bar complaint after federal judge tosses case. A conservative-aligned watchdog group has filed a bar complaint accusing New York Attorney General Letitia James of professional misconduct tied to her Norfolk, Virginia mortgage allegations that were also at the center of her recently dismissed federal charges. The Center to Advance Security in America, or CASA, filed the complaint with the state's Attorney Grievance Committee, accusing James of engaging in, quote, illegal and dishonest conduct, quote, in connection with the mortgage she took out on the property, according to the New York Post. According to the complaint and related public statements, the group alleges that James's actions raise concerns under the rules of professional conduct, the ethical standards that govern lawyers in New York. Quote, fraud, misrepresentation, honesty, and trustworthiness are all factors that the rules of professional conduct expressly consider when weighing whether to discipline an attorney. That was according to Curtis Schaub, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, the group's director of research and policy, and he wrote that in the 4-page complaint. Now, y'all, so not only does Letitia James have that to worry about, but as you're going to see in this next segment, the DOJ, they not done with your girl. They not done with your girl. Let's take a look at this.
What can we expect from the DOJ? What can happen? Because I think people are so frustrated. They never see accountability.
Well, this is likely to be appealed by the Trump administration, which is arguing that the court too narrowly construed a statute. There's a statute that says when there's a vacancy in the U.S. attorney, the president can appoint someone for 120 days as the interim U.S. attorney. But the predecessor to Halligan had already used that period up. And after 120 days goes by, it then becomes the power of the court to appoint a successor. President Trump appointed Halligan and said, well, I'm making her a special counsel, and that's not going to trigger this period. The court disagreed, and other courts have also disagreed with that interpretation. So they're going to go up on appeal on this. But the key here is that Letitia James took a bit of a victory lap after this decision. And I think she missed the two words that followed dismissal, and it was dismissal without prejudice. So the Trump administration, even if they lose on appeal, could seek out a new indictment. This is not over for James or Comey. The judge specifically said, I am not going to grant your motion to dismiss with prejudice. I'm going to allow them to cure this problem.
So yeah, y'all, old Tish, good old Tish. It's not done, y'all. 3 more years of Trump, okay? You know she's going at him because she also has the prosecutorial powers in the state of New York. She's going after him. She's suing him for this. She's suing him for that. His administration, I should say. She's suing the administration. There's always a new lawsuit from her, but those are civil, right? And they're still trying to figure out a way to go after her criminally. We're going to see what happens with this bar complaint. There have been previous bar complaints against her. There have been many, many bar complaints over the months. I haven't been able to determine whether those are an investigation, whether they were closed, whether they were even open. There's no public information about any of this, so we'll have to see what happens. And also, again, we will follow up with her bank fraud case. See what happens with that, y'all. Let me know, do you think Big Tish suffers any consequence from all of this, or is your girl gonna skate through it and just get off scot-free, or Tish-free, as we may say? Let me know what you think down in the comments, y'all. Drop a comment, but before you do, please stop, hit the share button. Share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all your favorite social mediums. And if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Y'all check out our Patreon. It's the first link down in the description. We would appreciate your additional and even enhanced support. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all. And we'll see you back in the next one.
Yeah, you know, I'm particularly concerned about the situation with James Comey. I mean, this is somebody who used the FBI, used our law enforcement as a way to basically undo an election. And I'm just really fearful that if he doesn't face consequences, if nothing happens after this appeal, the loss of trust that people will have in the system and in the institutions. I mean, you're seeing even a fighter like Dan Bongino, struggling there at the FBI because that deep state is real, and the sort of sense of power that they have within that agency, even over their leaders, is kind of frightening.
Well, Rachel, I think you're right. What we've learned over the last few weeks is chilling. It's not just with regard to Comey. We've also learned, of course, that the Justice Department allowed the records of leading Republicans in Congress to be seized. And this is an incredible intrusion into the legislative branch. It would reveal journalists, whistleblowers, others reaching out to members of Congress. This is stuff that is very, very dangerous. And I think that people do want to see some accountability. They certainly want to see transparency. But the night is not over in these cases. And also the case against John Bolton in Maryland is even stronger in the sense of these 3 cases that came out around the same time. So we have to see how all of these trajectories land. But I think Letitia James may want to hold back a bit from further celebration.
Good advice from Professor Turley. Well, I hope all this works out. Not just justice for President Trump and people who felt wrong through the FBI, but also I'm really concerned about young people and them losing faith in our government, in our institutions, and in our system. And so I know you care about that as well, Professor. Thanks for joining us.